Imagine a structure so tall, it held the record for over 3,800 years. Picture ancient cities, receiving millions of liters of fresh water daily through channels stretching for miles. Think about giant drawings in a desert, so vast they can only be truly seen from an airplane created centuries before anyone could fly. And what if someone told you a device from over 2,000 years ago was actually a complex analog computer predicting astronomical movements? These aren't scenes from a fantasy novel. They are real achievements from our ancient past. Get ready to have your mind blown by what ancient people managed to build with their hands, brains, and sheer determination. Number 15. These stone circles are so old, they make Stonehenge look young. Way back, and we mean way back, around 11,600 years ago, people were building something truly massive in what is now Turkey. It's called Göbeklitepe. Put that in perspective, this was before humans had invented pottery, before they were writing things down, and even before most farming had started. These were hunter-gatherers, yet they managed to create a complex of huge circular structures. The main features are giant T-shaped stone pillars. Some of these pillars are up to 6 meters, nearly 20 feet, tall, and weigh as much as 10 to 20 tons. Imagine trying to move and set up a 20-ton stone without modern cranes or even wheels. These pillars weren't plain either. They are covered in intricate carvings of animals, like foxes, snakes, wild boars, cranes, and vultures. Archaeologists have found several of these enclosures, and they believe there are more still buried underground. One of the strangest things about Göbeklitepe is that after being used for centuries, the entire site was deliberately buried with earth. Why would people spend so much effort building something so monumental, only to cover it all up? We don't have all the answers. Some think it was a temple or a meeting place for special rituals, perhaps connected to the sky or to beliefs about death, given the animal carvings, especially the vultures. What we do know is that Göbeklitepe shows that early humans were capable of organizing large groups of people for complex construction projects, long before we previously thought possible. It makes you wonder what else they were up to. Number 14. This underground city could hide 20,000 people and their animals. Deep beneath the plains of Cappadocia in Turkey lies Derinkuyu, an ancient multi-level underground city. It's not just a few caves. This place goes down as far as 85 meters, that's about 280 feet, and has as many as 18 levels, although not all are accessible today. It's big enough that it could have sheltered up to 20,000 people, along with their livestock and food supplies. Inside, it's like a hidden world. There are living quarters, stables for animals, cellars for storage, rooms for making wine and oil, refectories, dining halls, and even chapels. To make life possible deep underground, the builders carved ingenious ventilation shafts, some over 55 meters long, to bring in fresh air. They also had wells that reached underground water sources, so they wouldn't have to risk going to the surface for water. One of the most clever features of Derinkuyu are the massive, circular stone doors, like giant millstones, weighing several hundred pounds each. These doors could be rolled across passageways from the inside, sealing off sections of the city from invaders. You could only move them from one side, making them very effective for defense. Who built it and when? It's thought that the earliest parts might have been dug by the Phrygians around the 8th to 7th centuries BC. It was then expanded over many centuries and used by various groups, including early Christians escaping persecution. Imagine living your life, or at least part of it, in these rock-cut halls, knowing that danger might be lurking above ground. The sheer scale of excavation and planning required is mind-boggling for an ancient society. Number 13. They carved entire churches out of solid rock from the top down. In the highlands of Ethiopia, in a town called Lalibela, there's a collection of 11 medieval churches, but these aren't built in the usual way with bricks and mortar. Each one was carved out of a single, massive block of volcanic tuff rock, hewn downwards into the earth. It's like they sculpted the churches out of the ground itself. These incredible structures were created in the late 12th and early 13th centuries during the reign of King Lalibela, who, according to legend, wanted to create a new Jerusalem. The churches are full-sized buildings complete with detailed facades, windows, columns, and internal spaces, all carved from the parent rock. Some are freestanding, surrounded by deep trenches, while others are semi-detached or carved into cliff faces. Many are connected by a maze of tunnels and narrow passages, also cut from the rock. The builders even figured out how to manage water, carving drainage systems to prevent flooding during the rainy season. Perhaps the most famous of these is Beati Georgis, the Church of St. George. It's a stunning, cross-shaped church, perfectly symmetrical, sitting in a deep pit. Local stories say that angels helped with the construction, working at night, because the task seemed almost superhuman. Removing all that stone and shaping it with such precision, without the rock cracking or collapsing, required incredible skill and planning. These churches are still active places of worship today, a testament to the faith and engineering genius of their creators. Number 12. Hundreds of giant stone heads stare out from this remote island. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth, is famous for its moai, enormous stone statues. There are nearly 1,000 of these iconic figures scattered across the island. They are monolithic, meaning each one is carved from a single piece of stone, mostly volcanic tuff from a quarry called Rano Raraku. The average moai is about 4 meters, 13 feet tall, and weighs around 14 tons. That's like 2 or 3 adult elephants. But some are much bigger. The tallest completed moai, named Paro, was almost 10 meters, 33 feet high, and weighed a staggering 82 tons. There's even an unfinished one in the quarry that, if completed, would have been about 21 meters, 69 feet tall, and weighed an estimated 270 tons. Many moai were placed on large stone platforms called aho, which often marked burial sites. Some also had hats or topknots called pukao, made from a different reddish volcanic rock called scoria, which were quarried from another site and somehow placed on top of the statues' heads. How did the Rapa Nui people, with limited resources and no wheels or large animals, carve and then transport these colossal statues, some for several miles, across hilly terrain? This has been a subject of much debate and experimentation. Theories involve using ropes, sledges, log rollers, or even walking the statues upright. The moai are believed to represent deified ancestors, their faces gazing inland towards their villages, perhaps to watch over their descendants. The effort involved in creating and moving these giants speaks volumes about the islanders' social organization and religious devotion. Number 11. These fortress walls are made of stones so big and tightly fit, you can't slip paper between them. High above the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, in Peru, stands Saksaywaman, often pronounced like sexy woman, which makes it memorable. It's a massive walled complex, built by the Inca in the 15th century. What makes Saksaywaman so astounding is the sheer size of the stones used in its zigzagging defensive walls and the incredible precision with which they were fitted together. We're talking about polygonal blocks of limestone, some weighing over 100 tons. The largest single stone is estimated to weigh between 120 and 200 tons. That's heavier than a blue whale. These colossal stones were quarried, shaped, and then moved, sometimes several miles, to the construction site. The Incas didn't use mortar. Instead, they cut and shaped each stone so perfectly that it interlocked tightly with its neighbors, like a giant three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. The joints between them are so fine that in many places you can't even slip a thin piece of paper through. How they achieve this level of precision with such massive, irregularly shaped blocks is still a marvel. The walls themselves are impressive, built in 3 terraced tiers, stretching for hundreds of meters. While often called a fortress due to its strategic location and formidable walls, Saksaywaman likely also served as a ceremonial complex for the Inca. The Spanish conquistadors were so amazed by its construction that they thought it must have been built by demons or giants. It took thousands of workers many decades to build, trusting the Inca Empire's incredible power and organizational skills. Number 10. Giant pictures drawn in the desert can only be seen properly from the sky. In the arid coastal plains of southern Peru lies one of archaeology's great enigmas, the Nazca Lines. Created by the Nazca culture sometime between 500 BCE and 500 CE, these are enormous geoglyphs, or designs etched into the ground. There are hundreds of them, ranging from simple, straight lines and geometric shapes, like triangles, trapezoids, and spirals, to more complex figures of animals and plants. You can find depictions of a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, a lizard, a condor, and even a killer whale. Some of these figures are huge. The hummingbird is about 93 meters, 305 feet, long. The condor stretches 134 meters, 440 feet, and the lizard is 188 meters, 617 feet, long. Some of the straight lines run perfectly for kilometers across the desert. The Nazca people made these lines by removing the reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles that cover the surface of the Nazca Desert. This exposed the lighter-colored earth underneath, creating a contrast. Because the climate there is so dry, windy, and stable, the lines have been remarkably well preserved for centuries. The most baffling part: these intricate designs can only be fully appreciated from a high vantage point, like a hill, or, more effectively, from the air. Yet, the Nazca people didn't have airplanes. So, how did they plan and execute such large and precise designs without being able to see them properly from above? And why did they make them? Theories abound. Some suggest they were part of an astronomical calendar, others that they were ritual pathways for religious ceremonies, or perhaps related to water sources in the dry desert. True purpose remains a fascinating mystery. Number 9. These ancient stones are cut with such weird precision it's hard to explain. Near the southern shores of Lake Titicaca in Bolivia lies Pumapunku, part of the larger ancient city complex of Tiwanaku. Pumapunku, meaning Gate of the Puma in Aymara, is famous for its incredibly precise and complex stonework. Dating back to the Tiwanaku civilization, around 500 to 1000 AD, the site features massive stone blocks made of diorite and red sandstone, some weighing many tons. The largest single block is estimated to be 7.81 meters long, 5.17 meters wide, averages 1.07 meters thick, and is estimated to weigh about 131 metric tons. These stones were quarried from sites several miles away and somehow transported to Pumapunku. What truly sets Pumapunku apart is the almost unbelievable precision of the cuts and joints. Many blocks have perfectly flat faces, sharp right angles, and intricate interlocking shapes, including the famous H blocks. These H blocks are all nearly identical in design and dimensions, suggesting a standardized, modular approach to construction. Cuts are so fine and the surfaces so smooth that it's hard to imagine them being made with the simple tools believed to have been available at the time. Some stones have series of small, identical holes drilled into them, or channels cut with such accuracy that they look almost machine-made. How did the Tiwanaku people achieve this level of craftsmanship on such hard, stone-like diorite? The methods they used to cut, shape, and transport these massive, intricately designed blocks remain a subject of intense study and speculation. Pumapunku stands as a testament to a highly sophisticated, yet enigmatic, ancient culture. Number 8. An entire army made of clay was buried to guard an emperor in the afterlife. In 1974, farmers digging a well near Xi'an, China, stumbled upon one of the most spectacular archaeological finds of the 20th century, the terracotta army. This subterranean army was created to accompany Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, into the afterlife. He died in 210 BCE. The sheer scale of this underground complex is astonishing. Archaeologists estimate there are around 8,000 life-sized clay soldiers, along with 130 chariots pulled by 520 horses and 150 cavalry horses. And that's just what's been uncovered so far. The emperor's actual tomb, a massive mound nearby, remains unexcavated. What makes the terracotta army even more incredible is that each soldier appears to be unique. They have different facial features, heralds, expressions, and even clothing details, representing various ranks and roles within the army: archers, infantrymen, officers, and generals. Originally, these figures were brightly painted with vibrant colors, though much of the paint has faded or flaked off after being exposed to air. The soldiers were also equipped with real weapons, like bronze swords, spears, and crossbows, many of which were still sharp when discovered. The level of craftsmanship and organization required to produce such a vast and detailed army is mind-boggling. Believed they were made in an assembly line fashion with different workshops specializing in heads, arms, legs, and torsos, which were then assembled. Emperor clearly wanted to take his power and protection with him, and his artisans delivered an immortal guard of breathtaking artistry. Number 7. This ancient Greek device was basically the world's first analog computer. Imagine finding a complex geared machine that's over 2,000 years old. That's exactly what happened in 1901 when sponge divers discovered a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. Among the treasures pulled from the depths was a corroded lump of bronze, which turned out to be the Antikythera mechanism. It dates back to sometime between 150 and 100 BCE, with some studies suggesting it could be as old as 205 BCE. For decades, its true nature was a puzzle. But with advanced X-ray and CT scanning technology, scientists have been able to peer inside its delicate, intricate workings. What they found was astounding. A sophisticated system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears, dials, and pointers. This wasn't just a simple clock. It was an analog computer designed to predict astronomical phenomena. The front dial showed the positions of the sun and moon against the zodiac, and likely the 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. It also had a calendar and could predict solar and lunar eclipses with remarkable accuracy. The back dials displayed cycles like the Metonic cycle, a 19-year cycle related to lunar calendars, and the Saros cycle, an eclipse prediction cycle. It even indicated the timing of the ancient Olympic Games. Complexity and precision of the Antikythera mechanism were unparalleled in the ancient world, and its technological sophistication wouldn't be seen again for over 1,000 years until the development of astronomical clocks in medieval Europe. It's a stunning reminder of the advanced scientific and engineering capabilities of the ancient Greeks. Number 6. This temple city is so big it has a moat 3 miles long. Deep in the jungles of Cambodia lies Angkor Wat, a breathtaking temple complex that is the largest religious monument in the world by land area, covering a staggering 162.6 hectares, that's 402 acres. Built in the early 12th century by the Khmer king Saksaywaman II, it was originally dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu, but gradually transformed into a Buddhist temple towards the end of the century. The scale of Angkor Wat is hard to comprehend. The entire complex is surrounded by a massive moat, 190 meters, 620 feet wide and over 5 kilometers 3 miles in perimeter. Just digging this moat and using the excavated earth to raise the temple platform was an immense undertaking. The temple itself is built primarily from sandstone, an estimated 5 to 10 million blocks, some weighing up to 1.5 tons each. These stones were quarried from Mount Kulin, about 25 miles, 40 km, away, and transported to the site likely using a network of canals. The central temple structure features 5 iconic lotus bud-shaped towers representing Mount Meru, the mythical home of the gods in Hindu cosmology. The walls of the temple are covered in nearly 1 kilometer of intricate bas-reliefs, depicting scenes from Hindu epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, as well as historical events and processions of King Saksaywaman II. The detail and artistry are incredible. It's estimated that the construction of Angkor Wat took around 30 to 35 years, involving thousands of skilled artisans and laborers. It's a masterpiece of Khmer architecture and a symbol of human devotion and engineering prowess. Number 5. This lost city in the clouds has stonework that fits together like magic. Perched high in the Andes Mountains of Peru, at an altitude of 2,430 meters, 7,970 feet above sea level, is the iconic Inca citadel of Machu Picchu. Built around the mid-15th century by the Inca Emperor Pachacuti, it's often called the Lost City of the Incas because it was hidden from Spanish conquistadors and largely unknown to the outside world until its rediscovery in 1911. What makes Machu Picchu so remarkable, apart from its stunning mountain setting, is its sophisticated architecture and stonework. The Incas were masters of a technique called ashlar masonry, where stones are cut so precisely that they fit together perfectly without any mortar. Some of the stones used in Machu Picchu weigh over 50 tons, yet they are fitted with such exactitude that you can't even slide a knife blade between them. The city is a carefully planned complex of temples, like the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Three Windows, palaces, residential buildings, storehouses, and agricultural terraces that cling to the steep mountainsides. An intricate system of stone channels and fountains supplied fresh water to the inhabitants. One of the most famous features is the Intihuatana stone, a carved pillar often described as a hitching post of the sun, believed to have been used for astronomical observations. Why was Machu Picchu built in such a remote and inaccessible location? Its exact purpose is still debated, perhaps a royal estate, a religious sanctuary, or a strategic outpost. Whatever its function, it was abandoned only about a century after its construction, likely due to the turmoil of the Spanish conquest, and remained a silent testament to the ingenuity of the Inca civilization. Number 4. This ancient arena could flood for mock sea battles and had a retractable roof. The Colosseum in Rome, originally known as the Flavian Amphitheater, is one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Construction began under Emperor Vespasian in 72 AD and was completed by his son Titus in 80 AD, with further modifications made by Domitian. This colossal oval amphitheater could hold an estimated 50,000 to 80,000 spectators, all gathered to watch gladiatorial contests, wild animal hunts, venaciones, public executions, and even dramas. One of its most amazing features was its ability to host mock sea battles, or naumachiae. The arena floor could apparently be flooded, allowing for specially designed ships to engage in combat. The Colosseum was an engineering marvel of its time. It measures about 189 meters, 620 feet, long 156 meters, 512 feet, wide, and stands 48 meters, 157 feet high. It was built using travertine limestone, tuff of volcanic rock, and brick-faced concrete, a Roman invention that allowed for such massive and complex structures. The facade featured 3 stories of arcaded entrances, framed by columns of different orders: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. There were 80 entrances at ground level, allowing for rapid entry and exit of the huge crowds. Above the arena, a retractable awning called the velarium could be extended to provide shade for spectators. Beneath the wooden arena floor was the hypogeium, an extensive network of tunnels, passages, animal pens, and holding cells for gladiators. Sophisticated mechanical elevators and ramps were used to lift animals, scenery, and combatants into the arena, creating dramatic entrances. Colosseum truly was the ultimate entertainment venue of the ancient world. Number 3. Ancient Romans got millions of gallons of fresh water daily thanks to these superhighways for water. The Romans were master engineers, and nowhere is this more evident than in their aqueducts. These weren't just single channels. They were extensive systems designed to bring vast quantities of fresh water into cities and towns across the Roman Empire. The city of Rome itself was supplied by 11 major aqueducts, built over a period of about 500 years, from 312 BCE to 226 CE. Combined, these aqueducts stretched for hundreds of kilometers. For example, the Aqua Marcia, built in 144 BCE, was about 91 kilometers, 56 miles, long. Estimated that these aqueducts delivered around 1 million cubic meters, that's over 260 million gallons, of water to Rome every single day. This water was used for public baths, thermae, latrines, ornate public fountains, and supply to private households of the wealthy. The engineering behind the aqueducts was incredibly sophisticated. They relied on gravity to move the water, which meant the channels had to maintain a very precise, gentle downward slope over long distances, often a gradient of only a few inches per mile. This required careful surveying and construction through varied terrain. Aqueducts ran underground in tunnels, along contours of hills, and where valleys needed to be crossed, they were carried on impressive arched bridges. Pont-de-Gard in southern France is one of the most famous surviving examples. A 3-tiered aqueduct bridge, standing 49 meters, 160 feet high. Romans used stone, brick, and a special waterproof hydraulic concrete made with pozzolanic ash. The system also included settling tanks to purify the water and distribution tanks, castella, within the city. A dedicated official, the curator aquarum, was responsible for overseeing the maintenance and operation of this vital infrastructure. Number 2. This wall is so long it could stretch across the United States twice. The Great Wall of China is not just a wall. It's a series of fortifications that stands as one of the most ambitious construction projects ever undertaken. While often thought of as a single continuous structure, It's actually a network of walls, watchtowers, fortresses, and barracks built over centuries by different Chinese dynasties. Primary purpose was to protect Chinese states and empires against raids and invasions from nomadic groups of the Eurasian steppe. The earliest sections of wall were built as far back as the 7th century BCE by various small states. These were later connected and expanded by Ningxie Huang, the first emperor of China, around 220 to 206 BC. However, the most extensive and best preserved sections of the Great Wall that we see today were built during the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. The official length of all its branches is a mind-boggling 21,196 kilometers, 13,171 miles. Even the main Ming Dynasty wall section stretches for about 8,850 kilometers, 5,500 miles. To put that in perspective, the continental United States is about 2,800 miles wide. The materials used varied, depending on the local resources and the era of construction. Early walls were often made of tamped earth and gravel. The Ming Dynasty used more durable materials like brick, stone, and lime mortar. The wall traverses incredibly diverse and challenging terrain, including rugged mountains, vast deserts, and sprawling grasslands. Building it required an enormous workforce, consisting of soldiers, convicts, and conscripted laborers. Millions of people are believed to have worked on the wall over the centuries. It featured not just the wall itself, but also strategically placed watchtowers for observation and signaling, using smoke or fire, garrison stations, and fortresses. It's a monumental testament to human endurance and defensive engineering on an epic scale. Number 1. This giant tomb was the tallest thing on Earth for almost 4,000 years. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for the pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 BCE during Egypt's 4th dynasty, is the oldest and largest of the 3 pyramids at Giza, and it's the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still largely intact. When it was completed, it stood an incredible 146.6 meters, 481 feet, tall. It remained the tallest man-made structure on Earth for over 3,800 years, until Lincoln Cathedral in England surpassed it in the 14th century CE. The sheer scale is almost impossible to grasp. Its base covers an area of about 13 acres, and each of its 4 sides measures approximately 230.3 meters, 755.6 feet, in length, forming an almost perfect square. It's estimated that the Great Pyramid is made up of around 2.3 million blocks of stone, mostly limestone and granite. These blocks weigh, on average, 2.5 tons each. But some of the massive granite blocks used in the King's Chamber, located deep within the pyramid, weigh as much as 80 tons. These granite blocks were quarried in Aswan over 800 kilometers, 500 miles to the south, and transported to Giza. Precision is astounding. Pyramid sides are aligned almost perfectly with the 4 cardinal directions, with an accuracy of within a fraction of a degree. The outer casing stones, made of fine white Tura limestone, most of which are now gone, were cut and fitted with such exactness that the joints were incredibly tight. Inside, the pyramid contains a complex system of passages and chambers, including the King's Chamber, the Queen's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, and a subterranean chamber. Building such a colossal and precise structure required incredible planning, sophisticated knowledge of geometry and surveying, and a highly organized workforce of tens of thousands of skilled laborers, not slaves as was once commonly believed. The Great Pyramid is more than just a tomb. It's an enduring symbol of ancient Egyptian power, ingenuity, and ambition.